After passing away peacefully in his sleep, I was reborn into my college days. When I saw Chen Ji, I instinctively leaned in for a kiss. "Good morning, honey." It wasn't until I noticed his body suddenly stiffen that I snapped out of it. Oh no. Back then, Chen Ji and I were still archenemies. True archenemiest kind who wish the other would just vanish from the face of the earth. Main text. Chen Ji and I have known each other since we were 6 years old. But it wasn't until I was 36 that we got together. All that fighting and bloodshed. Oh, wait, no. Through all the ups and downs, 50 years have passed. When I finally closed my eyes, I felt completely at peace without pain or regret. That's why I can't figure it out. How is it that the moment I open my eyes, I'm back in college again? Did the reincarnation script get the wrong person? I don't have anyone to take revenge on, either. But right now, I really don't have time to think about that. Chen Ji I was standing to the side with his arms crossed, glancing at me with an air of nonchalance. "Lost your voice." He was pressing me to come up with a reasonable explanation for my ridiculous behavior just now. 5 minutes ago, I woke up groggily and saw Chen Ji. Instinctively, I reached out and wrapped my arms around his waist, nuzzled my face against his neck, and pouted, begging for a kiss. He was so shocked that he froze in place. It took him quite a while before he suddenly pushed me away. How should I explain it? It's actually a conditioned reflex formed by a habit that's remained unchanged for decades. I can't explain it at all. If I were to tell him right now that we've been together for most of our lives and do this every morning, he'd definitely make a huge fuss and have me committed to a mental hospital. After all, everyone at University A knows that Chen Ji and Yuzhan are sworn enemies. They simply cannot get along. I scratched my head and blurted out, "I had a wet dream." He snorted derisively. "Did you call out husband in your wet dream?" "Oh, I did call him husband when I asked for a kiss just now." Seeing that I remained silent, the mocking expression on his lips deepened. "Yuzhan, I really never would have guessed that you're into men and that you're so horny you're moaning in your sleep. If you're that itchy, why don't you just stick a rolling pin up there? That's such a harsh thing to say." My blood pressure is skyrocketing. I instinctively reached into my pocket, but when my hand came up empty, it finally dawned on me. I'm only in my early 20s. I don't need to take blood pressure medication. Shut up. Shut up. Why should I? He smiled again. "I'm going to make a big fuss about it until the whole hospital knows, and then let's see how confident you still are." I paused for a moment. Then it came back to me. At that time, Chen Ji and I were competing for the top scholarship. I won an award in a national competition, which earned me extra credits and put me way ahead of Chen Ji. I couldn't help but brag to him that this time, victory was a sure thing. Homosexuality is still too ahead of its time in this day and age. If word really got out, it could easily be framed as a moral issue. And it's not out of the question that they could be disqualified from the awards. Irritated, it wasn't so much the scholarship that bothered him, but rather Chen Ji's attitude at that moment. Sarcastic and confrontational. Deep down, I know our relationship isn't going well right now. And he can't predict the future. He doesn't know how much he'll love me down the road. He didn't do anything wrong. Still, hearing my partner say that made me a little sad. "Go ahead and make a fuss." I nodded silently and crawled back under the covers. I'm going to keep dreaming Chen Ji is still waiting for me in my dream. Wait a minute. Chen Ji's eyes widened. He grabbed my shoulder and yanked me out of bed. Who the hell are you having wet dreams about? When he heard the reply, "It's you," his face turned as pale as if he'd eaten shit, and he hurried back to his dorm. I took a nap. But unfortunately I didn't have any dreams. When I woke up, it was already dark outside. My roommate turned on the light. The incandescent bulb hung from the wire, swaying gently and casting shifting patterns of light and shadow throughout the room. He's still here. Of all places, I thought I'd woken up back inside my coffin. However, in the original timeline, I would have already turned into a handful of ashes by now, mixed together with Chen Ji's and sealed beneath a concrete slab. We haven't adopted any children, nor do we have any pets. So naturally, no one comes to pay their respects. I was lost in thought when my roommate reminded me, "Aren't you going to take a shower? The bathhouse is about to close." I got out of bed slowly in response, grabbed a basin and a towel, and shuffled toward the bathhouse in my slippers. My mind hasn't adjusted to this young body yet, so I'm walking very slowly. As we reached the entrance, a wave of steam and heat hit us in the face. I spotted Chen Ji right away. His shower curtain was only half drawn, and he was rinsing the soap suds off his body. Under the dim, yellow light, the strikingly defined muscle lines softened somewhat. But they still set off fireworks in my mind. I could feel my heart suddenly start pounding, and hot blood rushing to every part of my body. It was as if my whole body had been reawakened. At the age of 36, Chen Ji and I had both risen to leadership positions at two different internet companies. The metrics for their rivalry have shifted from academic rankings to company market capitalization and annual profits. At a business dinner, we both accidentally drank some tainted alcohol and, by a twist of fate, ended up locked up together. The people who slipped the drugs into the drinks had originally intended to target someone else. They probably didn't expect that two people in their 30s would, like elementary school kids, suddenly start competing for no apparent reason and end up drinking all the alcohol off the tray. That night, Chen Ji and I got into a fierce fight over who would be the rolling pin. Eventually, I ran out of steam and lost the upper hand, and he pinned me down until dawn. Afterward, I stammered, trying to save face. "What a lousy job. Pay me for the two projects, and let's put this behind us." In a rare move, Chen Ji didn't snap back. He silently stubbed out his cigarette and came over to help me put on my pants. A week later, he cornered me outside my office building. "The project will compensate you, but I don't want to move on." Looking back now, I suppose our relationship began because we got a taste of it and couldn't stop. Unfortunately, I didn't get to enjoy the good life for very long before I entered middle age, when my will is strong but my strength is lacking. Before I knew it, I was standing right behind Chen Ji. He seemed to sense something. He turned his head, and his pupils suddenly contracted. "Holy crap. What are you doing?" Ignoring his panic and anger, I let my gaze drift down inch by inch until it rested on his narrow waist. "I want to touch it." I haven't even touched Chen Ji, who's 20, yet. Actually, that's exactly what I did. "You Jean." He yanked my hand away. "Wake the hell up. Are you still dreaming?" It was really hard, and it hurt a lot. I suddenly felt a little wronged. "Chen Ji, you can't treat me like this." He was stunned, and his voice grew noticeably more urgent. "What did I do to you?" "You're the one who was watching me wash." "Oh, you mean what happened this afternoon?" "I haven't told a soul. I can't really take it in." As he breathed heavily, his lower abdomen rose and fell, making his muscles look even more defined. My chin was gripped in a vice, and I was forced to tilt my head back. "Don't stare." As the steam rose, Chen Ji's face turned almost completely red. I started watching his Adam's apple move as he swallowed Ogden. It was so sexy. I wanted to suck on it. His gaze was too direct. When he realized it, he furiously turned my face toward the wall. I'm really at a loss for words. "You Jean, are you possessed or something? Have your mom ask a spiritual healer to perform an exorcism on you." "No need to call in an expert," I managed to say with great difficulty. "Just have sex with me once." Chen Ji must have frozen for a few seconds. She even stopped breathing. Then he completely lost his composure and frantically pushed me out. "You're crazy. Stay away from me." He shoved me without mercy. I stumbled and fell to the ground. Before I had a chance to cry out in pain, there was a sudden, loud crash at the door. A classmate dropped the enamel basin, turned around, and called out loudly for help. Chen Ji and Yu Jean got into a fight. Because we got into a fight in the bathroom, both Chen Ji and I were disqualified from the awards. He probably just couldn't bring himself to say, "Yu Jean wants to have a same-sex relationship with me." So he didn't argue. "Is that your goal? Killing 1,000 enemies while losing 8 million of your own, is it really worth it?" I was lying face down on the bed, and my butt still twinged with pain from time to time. Pour me a glass of water. Who do you think you're bossing around? I licked my lips. I want some water. Chen Ji's face was stern, and his tone was anything but friendly. Where's the cup? Damn. How many days has it been since you washed it? The kettle's out of water, didn't you know how to refill it? He stormed out, muttering under his breath, and returned shortly afterward carrying a jug of water. Something suddenly came to mind. Chen Ji, why were you in my dorm yesterday? His hand paused as he poured the water. Your roommate said you hadn't woken up yet, so I came to see if you were dead. TSK. What a letdown. When the cup was held out to me, I didn't take it. Instead, I struggled to sit up and leaned over to drink from it. Just as his lips touched the rim of the cup, Chen Ji jerked his head back suddenly. Don't you have any fucking hands? Do you want me to feed you? Stop calling me old man, it's not like I've never been taken care of before. Back when I was in the hospital in my 50s, you were the one changing my diapers. I pursed my lips and said nothing. He took the glass, sipped the water slowly, and just as he swallowed, his butt started acting up again. The pain lasted quite a while this time, and I couldn't help but whimper. Too hot. I already added some cold water. As soon as his hand was free, Chen Ji took the cup back. It's exactly right. Are you trying to rip me off again? Ouch. Chen Ji. I clutched the sheets and gasped. Can you take a look and see if my butt's bruised? It hurts even more today than it did yesterday. Chen Ji didn't reply. I cautiously tilted my head back and met his complex gaze. Do you even know what you're saying? I can't see it myself. What good would it do for me to look at it? Are you going to spring back to life right away or something? That makes sense. But why does saying it out loud make people feel so down? I buried my face in the pillow. Never mind. You can go. Chen Ji is really gone. Very decisive, not willing to linger for even a second. When I heard the door close, a deep, bitter ache welled up in my chest. I shouldn't have any expectations of Chen Ji at his age. I'll wait for my roommate to come back and ask him to take a look. If something's wrong, I'll have to go to the school clinic. To his surprise, his roommate hadn't returned yet. But Chen Ji was back. The school nurse was following behind him. The school nurse prescribed a bottle of medicinal oil to promote blood circulation and dispel blood stasis, and assigned Chen Ji the task of applying it. Chen Ji stamped his feet. Why me? Just because you two are both listed on the same report. Do you dare say you didn't hit him? Chen Ji opened his mouth several times, but each time he swallowed his words. He admitted it. It was just that when he applied the ointment, he clearly let his personal resentment show a bit. It hurts so much. Don't push so hard. Ouch. He covered her mouth. Chen Ji furrowed his brow and gritted his teeth. Are you moaning in bed? Can you stop being so gross? My eyelashes were wet with tears, so I lowered my eyes and didn't even make a sound. His hand paused for a moment. He let out a soft sk, looked away, and quickly finished applying the ointment. When he came out after washing his hands, he saw that I was still frozen in the same position as before. So he came over and gave the foot of the bed a gentle kick. Is it wrong to say a few words to you? You're talking so loud, there are only two of us in the dorm. Don't you think about what would happen if others heard us? From where I was standing, I had a direct view of his waist and hips, a blue and white sailor shirt, white dress pants, and a narrow brown belt that accentuates her perfect waistline. Back then, I just thought Chen Ji was trying to be trendy and steal my thunder. But now, well, he really is handsome. Although Chen Ji is handsome at 36, and he's handsome at 56, right now he looks young, vibrant, and healthy. Health. I suddenly froze for a moment. Hey, are you deaf? Chen Ji waved his hand in front of my face, and I snapped back to reality and looked into his eyes. Light brown, clear and bright. Just say what you want. Why are you staring at me? I blurted out. I want to touch you. What are you touching? You're done touching it. No, it's my turn. WH. He abruptly stopped speaking, took a step back 2 meters away and was both startled and annoyed. You Jean. What are you talking about? I'm just putting medicine on you. Not groping your butt. You didn't touch it. That's medicine. You didn't touch it. When Chen Ji spoke again, his voice was noticeably weak and tinged with resignation. I touched her, but it was just to get into bed. I interrupted him. I want to touch yours. He pressed his lips together. After a long standoff, he took a few steps forward. Are they really touching me? Just as she reached out, he grabbed her wrist. You Jean, are you sick? He pressed my hand down onto the bed and used his free hand to gently touch my forehead. Did you have a fever yesterday? The way you're acting. It doesn't seem like you're teasing me. It's more like you're delirious. You used to be too lazy to even talk to me. You even hated the air I breathed. Did we ever hate each other this much? That was way too long ago. It wasn't just last century, it was a lifetime ago. I don't really remember that feeling. All I remember is that later, when we were in love, we couldn't get enough of kissing each other every day. And I loved everything about him. Okay. Actually, I don't want to touch it. Chen Ji froze for a moment, then let out a sigh of relief. Yet his eyes were inexplicably dull. I knew idiocy, just messing around. I want to sleep with you. As he stood there in shock, I continued. I don't hate you at all. You're the only man I can accept. Only you can open my body. You Jean. Chen Ji raised his voice to stop me. His face was flushed bright red. The veins on his temples were bulging, and his chest was heaving violently. Have you no sense of shame? Have you no decency? How can you even say something like that? Is that something to be ashamed of? I haven't even started yet. Unfortunately. Chen Ji didn't give me another chance. He made a rather dismal escape. I sat there lost in thought for a moment, and a sense of regret welled up inside me. With his veteran-like habit of speaking without restraint, he completely forgot that Chen Ji is still an innocent college student. Those words were way too shocking. There's no way he could handle them, but he was right in front of me. I don't want to wait until I'm 36. The school nurse's medicinal ointment worked wonders. After a night's sleep, I was able to walk normally again. I decided to get up early, buy breakfast, and bring it to Chen Ji's dorm. When his roommate saw me, he immediately became wary. Go ahead and fight it out, but don't drag me into it. No. Thanks. Would you like a fried dough stick or a scallion roll? He didn't dare eat it, afraid I might have poisoned it. Using morning exercise as an excuse, he ran off at top speed. Chen Ji wanted to run away too, but he didn't make it. I blocked him on the bed just as he was halfway through putting on his pants. What exactly do you mean? I'm bringing breakfast. Is that so hard to understand? Right now, he looks a bit dazed, as if he'd been woken up before he was fully awake. It's so cute. I just want to kiss him. Hold it in. We can't scare people away. Take it one step at a time. I started popping into his dorm whenever I had a chance, got a copy of his class schedule, and shamelessly attended classes with him. Everyone found it unbelievable. I gave a very formal explanation. After what happened last time, I've come to deeply realize my mistake. Classmates should show unity and friendship, avoid one-upmanship and conflict. Follow Lei Feng's example to foster a new ethos, and adhere to the 5 emphases, 4 beauties, and 3 loves. I'm sure Chen Ji agrees as well. We're working hard to become good friends and move forward together toward the future. The teacher was very pleased, and the students were very pleased as well. It would be a bit ungrateful of Chen Ji to give me the cold shoulder. Chen Ji, Yu Zhan was beaten by you and still showed such grace. How can you be so petty? Exactly. He's a grown man, has put his pride aside and spends every day doting on you. What more could you want? No offense, but I think he got dragged down by you. Yu Zhan has way more credits than you. Chen Ji said nothing, but secretly pinned me against the wall. They talk such high-sounding nonsense. Do they have any idea how dirty your thoughts are? I didn't hear a single word. I was too surprised by the position the two of them were in. Wow. A wall squeeze. That brings back memories. He froze for a moment. What's a wall dunk? This is the position we're in right now. the way things are going. You're about to kiss me. Chen Ji's originally menacing expression melted away in an instant, and he let go of me as quickly as if he'd been electrocuted. Who's going to kiss you? Stuttering and flustered, so adorable. It's okay if we don't kiss. I hooked my index finger onto his belt. Slowly crouched down, lifted my face to look at him, and let my chin brush against the fabric, whether intentionally or not. Chen Ji, how long has it been since you last released it? He was completely taken aback by that remark and stood there, frozen, without reacting. Well, I went a little overboard again without meaning to, but since I've already brought it up, let's just keep going. He still can't bring himself to please me, so how could he possibly refuse when I take the initiative to please him? He clamped the zipper between his teeth and had just pulled it halfway down when he moved. It moves as if it were a robot that had just been assembled and hadn't been tested yet. Her whole body tensed up, and she stiffly pushed my face away. You Jean, I'm begging you. Just act normal. I'm perfectly normal. But you, I drawled innocently. Aren't you being a little too sensitive? His Adam's apple bobbed unnaturally twice. He clearly realized what I was talking about. For a moment, I didn't know whether to keep shielding my head or cover my crotch. After a flurry of activity, he just hurriedly blurted out, I have to get back to class. His hands and feet were stiff, and the skin behind his ears was so red it looked like it could bleed. On the day the scholarship results were announced, the student who had originally been ranked third suddenly invited me to dinner. I was a little surprised, but I accepted it quickly. After all, if Chen Ji and I hadn't been disqualified, there's no way he would have gotten his hands on that money. I didn't accept just for the sake of a free meal. Chen Ji had been avoiding me for several days, and I was worried I wouldn't find an excuse to keep flirting with him. It wasn't until I walked into the small restaurant that I realized Chen Ji wasn't there. He won't come. The classmate steamed the bowls and chopsticks for me and gave a shy smile. I only invited you. My hand, which had been serving food, paused. What do you mean? It didn't take me long to realize what was causing his awkwardness and nervousness. It turns out he was the one who caught me and Chen Ji at the bathroom door. It was chaos that day, and my butt was killing me. So I didn't even have time to look and see who it was. But even if I look at it, I won't remember it. Don't have anything in common to begin with. I could hear it from outside the door. I know you two weren't fighting, he stammered, glancing at me, but I really need this money. His family was poor, and his younger sister the only family he had fallen ill. With no other options, he had planned to drop out of school to find a job. But then he unexpectedly came across this opportunity that killed two birds with one stone. I'm really sorry. Once I make some money, I'll definitely pay you back. Never mind that it's not like just anyone can pull off a clever trick to win the top prize. You've got the talent to back it up, but you were supposed to take it. Actually, you could have just kept this to yourself. But he still chose to be honest with me. I smiled and reached out to open a bottle of wine. The small restaurant was bustling with people, and the heat mingled with the cooking fumes to form a mist. He apologized again and began rambling on about family matters. I suddenly asked him, "Don't you find me disgusting?" He paused for a moment, then shook his head. It happens in every dynasty, it's normal. My thoughts suddenly drifted off. Chen Ji and I have helped many people financially. Some people insist on expressing their gratitude in person, but when they see that the donor is a same-sex couple, their expression changes completely, as if the money were suddenly tainted. There are also some people who, upon learning that we have no children, go to great lengths to add their own children to our household registration, all in order to secure a share of our substantial estate in the future. Even though it's all in the past and I've come to terms with it, just hearing the word normal has brought tears to my eyes. I couldn't help but drink a little too much. So after my classmate paid the bill, he helped me walk back to school. Taking advantage of the fact that I was leaning against him, I quietly slipped some money into his pocket. Look at the sky, it looks like it's about to snow. Hearing this, I looked up. The ink blue sky was divided into small patches by a web of power lines. Each patch looked heavy, as if a snowstorm were brewing. I suppose so. The warm breath I exhaled condensed into a pure white mist of frost. As the mist cleared, I saw Chen Ji ahead of me. He stood at the entrance to the alley with his hands in his pockets. With colorful neon string lights behind him, his face was expressionless. He stared at me for 2 seconds, then cast a cold glance at the person beside me, and without saying a word, turned and walked away. It took me a few seconds to react, and I ran after him. My steps unsteady. A classmate called out from behind him, "You Jean, be careful." I didn't have time to reply, because Chen Ji was walking even faster. "Chen Ji." I tried to call out to him, my voice echoing from one end of the alley to the other. Chen Ji paused briefly, but did not stop. His figure grew smaller and smaller in the distance. I slowly stopped walking and leaned against the wall, catching my breath. I spent the entire meal lost in memories and, without realizing it, ended up eating way too much. Right now, my stomach is churning. The cold wind was still blowing directly on the back of my head, making my brain feel dizzy and throbbing. I feel so awful, but none of that compares to the pain in my heart. It felt as if a pool of sour water had exploded inside my heart, leaving it all wrinkled and unable to relax. I thought back to that banquet again. Business dinners like that are a regular occurrence for us. But no matter the situation, Chen Ji always manages to keep his wits about him. He knows I can't hold my liquor. As soon as I finish a drink and step out into the breeze, I get a headache, and once I do, I feel terrible. He's going to take me home while I'm still sober. She made me a hangover soup, helped me change my clothes, held me close while massaging my temples, patted my back, and took care of me when I had to get up in the middle of the night. Back then, I always had something to lean on, broad, solid, and warm instead of being pierced by a cold wind like this. "Hey, can you still walk?" The howling wind suddenly came to a halt. Someone stepped in beside me. The warmth that had faded is slowly returning to my body. I turned my head dazedly. My vision was blurry, but I still recognized him at a glance. It was Chen Ji, with a stern look on his face. He warned me, "If I find out you're still messing with me, I'll really beat you up." I stood there dumbfounded for quite a while, suddenly overwhelmed by an inexplicable sense of injustice. "Chen Ji, you don't want me anymore. How could you leave me behind? We agreed to walk together. You're such a liar. You just walked away without saying a word." He didn't say a single word to me. Do you know how agonizing these last few years have been for me? Every day, I wanted to go find you sooner, but I was afraid that if I went too soon, you'd scold me. When the doctor finally said to give up, I was so happy I could finally come find you with peace of mind. Chen Ji placed his hand on my wrist and furrowed his brow. "You Jean, what are you talking about?" Chen Ji. Scorching tears streamed down my cheeks as I clutched his collar, sobbing uncontrollably. "I really like you." The man in front of him visibly flinched, and his previously carefree expression suddenly turned grave. After a moment, a self-deprecating smile flitted across his face. "Ha. On one hand you say you like me and can only accept me, but on the other hand you're all over another guy. Your words are just a load of bullshit, not a single truthful thing comes out of your mouth." No, I wanted to explain. But the moment I opened my mouth, a sense of foreboding suddenly washed over me. It was too late to turn back. With a whoosh, everything he'd eaten and drunk that night came spewing out all over Chen Ji. His expression was as grim as could be, gritting his teeth. He spoke slowly and deliberately. "You Jean, is this what you meant by opening your body only to me? Is that right?" I don't know how Chen Ji managed to get me back to the dorm afterward. When I woke up, my head was still a little foggy from the hangover, and I felt completely groggy. My roommate handed me a glass of water and gave me a wink. "Have you two really put your differences behind you?" It took me a few seconds to process what he said before I realized he was talking about Chen Ji. "Someone carried you all the way up here. You were shivering from the cold in just a sweater, and they even made a point of telling me to give you some warm water once you woke up. By the way, where did the two of you go to drink? Take me there sometime." As the warm water flowed down my throat, the discomfort eased considerably. I mumbled a few words, got out of bed, and went to find Chen Ji. He's not here. Are you still avoiding me? Darn it. Did I say something out of line again last night? I can't remember. As I clutched my head, trying hard to remember, someone suddenly tapped me on the shoulder. You, Jean. There's a call for you at the reception desk. I got a call from home asking me to come back. Halfway through the bus ride, snow began to fall outside the window. Someone in the car remarked that the first snow of the year had come early, and that next year's harvest would surely be bountiful. The first snow. My mind suddenly went blank. The snow swirling outside the window blurred my vision. Chen Ji passed away 5 years before I did. That was also a snowy day. The two of us sat on the balcony by the fire, brewing tea and roasting peanuts and rice cakes. Chen Ji saw that the snow had stopped outside the window and said he was going out to buy some sugar oranges. I see everyone else's grilling like this, and our grill is way too empty. A meaningless remark became the last thing we ever said to each other. He fell on the snow and never woke up again. The doctor said it was probably a recurrence of a previous condition. For the elderly, even a minor fall can be fatal. It's unfortunate, but there's nothing we can do. Chen Ji has a chronic leg condition that he's had since he was young. Walking around on a normal day is no problem, but when it's windy, rainy, or cold, the pain becomes severe. I know how he got his injury. Our house was once broken into, and Chen Ji, who happened to still be awake, saw it happen. As he ran after the thief and tried to grab him, the enraged thief struck him with an iron bar, breaking his shin bone. That day was also the day of the first snowfall. It's today. Chen Ji and I became neighbors when we were 6 years old. Their parents had a huge argument over the issue of housing allocated by their work units, and their relationship has been strained ever since. They have virtually no contact with each other. Children have no concept of grudges. All their ideas are subtly shaped by their family. If my family says he's a bad guy, then he's a bad guy. As these preconceived notions took deeper root, Chen Ji and I became sworn enemies. Just then, I knocked on the door of his house, and his mother was very surprised to see me. Hello, ma'am. I'm here to see Chen Ji. I got off the bus and ran all the way here, trying to catch my breath, but I was still panting heavily. She stared blankly behind her. Chen Ji was eating. Last night I got drunk and passed out on the street. Chen Ji stepped in to help and took me back to my dorm, and I want to thank him in person. He gave it to you. Didn't you two just get into a fight? A thought suddenly struck me. Here's the thing. That award didn't really mean much to us, but the student who came in right behind us really needed the prize money. So Chen Ji and I went out of our way to put on a little show and let him have the award. She clearly wasn't that easy to fool. A look of suspicion crossed her face. Just as I was wondering how to keep the conversation going, Chen Ji's voice rang out. Mom. It's just like he said. By the time I was with Chen Ji, the old house here had already been torn down. It was my first time stepping into the room that held his childhood memories, and I was filled with wonder as I looked around here and there. Wow. When was this photo taken? It's so cute. Did you buy this chessboard at the chess club next to a university's affiliated elementary school? I have one just like it. Why haven't I seen you wear this outfit before? Are you afraid we'll end up wearing the same thing? Chen Ji leaned against the cabinet next to me and interrupted me. What's up? You came all the way to my place just for this. I smiled and said, I'm here to thank you. Give me a break. Just checking in on you. I heard you were freezing last night. Huh. He snorted softly and sat down on the bed. It won't kill me. All right. I'm here to apologize. Chen Ji glanced up at me, but this time he didn't say a word. Last night, I was thinking about something that made me sad and ended up drinking too much. I couldn't control myself. I didn't mean to throw up on you. Oh, he replied coldly. He paused for a moment, then asked, Is it because the scholarship ran out? Huh. Something sad. Why is the emphasis here? Of course not. As for the scholarship, half of what I told your mom just now was true. The classmate I had dinner with was the one who really needed that money, so we just figured we'd help out. As I was talking, I stopped, my heart pounding. I leaned in and asked tentatively. Do you care about me? Stop being so full of yourself. So do you hate me? Chen Ji looked away. Are you done talking? I want to go to sleep. My bed leaked last night. And I didn't sleep a wink. I stared at him intently and reached out to cup his face in my hands. You'll like me just as much as I like you. Before he could lose his temper. She quickly gave him a quick peck on the corner of his lips. Go to bed early tonight. I used an upset stomach as an excuse and didn't go with my family to attend a wedding out of town. I'm not planning on sleeping tonight. I guess I'm getting senile. How could I not have any regrets? There are so many regrets. If I could do it all over again, I'd spare him this undeserved leg injury. I vaguely remember that the burglar broke in around midnight. So, considering the response time, I called the police from my home phone 10 minutes early. I didn't expect that as soon as I hung up the phone. I heard a rustling sound coming from the doorway. My heart skipped a beat. Are you here this early? But I locked the door from the inside and put the bolt on beforehand. So they shouldn't be able to get in. The noise lasted for a little over a minute. Then stopped. I crouched down and tiptoed over to the door, held my breath, and listened for a while. It seemed like no one was outside anymore. Did you give up after failing? As I slowly straightened up, my ears suddenly picked up a clicking sound. If I were in my 80s, I'd tell myself that after bending over for too long, my bones just won't cooperate anymore. But right now, I'm only in my early 20s. I know someone has come into the house. Upstairs. Damn. This thief really did his recon well. He must have been watching my house for a while. He knew there was a broken security window on the second floor. I was torn between hiding and rushing to the door to escape. As the creaking sound above my head grew closer and closer, the man came down the stairs. My heart was practically pounding out of my chest. In my panic, I ducked under the tablecloth, and as I sat back, I bumped against the chair. Making a sharp little noise, I clamped my hand over my mouth. And at that critical moment, I suddenly remembered that I hadn't unlocked the latch yet. Something that can only be operated from inside the door. Isn't that just a blatant way of telling him there's someone home? I silently prayed that he was a coward who would leave as soon as he realized what was going on. Snow had already begun to pile up, and the snow's glow reflected inside the house. So it wasn't dark. I could clearly see the man's cloth shoes as he walked down the last 2 steps. A tattered cloth bag hung from his waist, and the shape of its contents was faintly visible. My radio, I think it still has a few medals on it. He's taking down the phone downstairs. There's not much worth stealing these days. Any item with a bit of metal in it can be sold for cash. I'm feeling a little restless. Is it because it's snowing? The police took so long to arrive. It wasn't until I saw that person walking out with my TV tucked under their arm that I breathed a sigh of relief. Oh well. Better to pay a little now than face bigger trouble later. At least no one was hurt. Just as my heart had settled halfway, I suddenly heard the crunch of footsteps in the snow outside. It's very light, but very stable. The thief must have heard it too, and quickly headed toward the main gate. When he saw the latch, he paused for a moment, just a moment. It opened quickly, and he turned the doorknob. The cold wind, carrying snowflakes, swept into the room, blowing the tablecloth off the table. And I saw the last person I wanted to see at that moment. Didn't I tell him to go to bed early? Chen Ji stood outside the door, his voice as cold as this snowy night. Put that down. I scrambled out from under the table and shouted at Chen Ji. Stay away from him. He brought his gear. Everything that happened after that happened so fast. The snow swirling in the fray fell just as thickly as the snow falling from the sky. It was as if the world had hit the slow motion button. Adrenaline takes over the body, and the brain is focused on a single thought. Chen Ji must not get hurt. The sound of a police siren drifted in from afar. As if it were a signal, all my strength suddenly drained from my body. My legs gave way, and I collapsed onto the ground. Chen Ji quickly caught me. What are you doing at home? I didn't have time to answer. I was too anxious to check on him. So I felt him all over from head to toe. Thank goodness wasn't hurt. Stop touching me, I am fine. He grabbed my wrist. Your hands cut, go to the hospital. I stared blankly at the palm of my hand. Only then did a searing pain shoot through my nerves. And I gasped belatedly. You're so stupid. Don't you know when to let go? I don't dare let go. Once I let go, the iron bar will swing toward my loved ones. By the time we were together, more than a decade had passed since that incident. All my memories have become blurred. And knowing that he left behind some lasting effects, the emotional impact isn't as strong anymore. But now I really want to ask, Chen Ji, why are you sticking your nose into other people's business? Since he hates me so much, he should be hoping my stuff gets stolen. Chen Ji helped me into the car. Well, I just happened to be awake and saw it. When you're awake, are you watching me? He slammed the door shut. By the time the wound had been bandaged and the statement taken, it was already well past midnight. His family had been notified and were on their way home. So Chen Ji and I said goodbye at the intersection. I was still shaken by the experience and wanted him to stay and keep me company. But his mother was waiting for him at the door. Well, then, get some sleep early. I strolled back slowly, climbed the steps, and walked through the door. Just as the door was closing, a hand suddenly reached out and grabbed the door. You look so pitiful, I'll reluctantly keep you company for a bit. There's only one pillow on my bed. Chen Ji lay fully clothed on the very outside, without even a blanket over him. I crept over and lifted a corner. Aren't you cold? It's not cold, but I'm cold. My hands are bleeding a lot, and my body feels ice cold. I can't warm up the blanket all by myself. I spoke in a pitiful tone, and Chen Ji finally stirred. But only once I'm under the covers and still a long way away from me. Chen Ji, I'm scared. Could you come a little closer? Ha. He snorted coldly. What the hell are you afraid of? You were the one fighting the hardest just now. You scared the hell out of that thief. I just didn't want you to get hurt. I muttered under my breath. How stingy. Am I stingy? Chen Ji smiled. Considering what you did to me earlier today, I was being pretty generous not to punch you. I played dumb. What did I do? The bed creaked, and Chen Ji turned on his side, his eyes dark and brooding, trying to skip out on the bill. I'm getting old, and my memory isn't what it used to be. Chen Ji took a deep breath and said in a stiff tone, You kissed me. Oh. I replied once and then fell silent. The room grew quiet, with only the sound of our breathing and the soft patter of falling snow outside the window. After a moment, he couldn't help but ask, Is that all? I'm thinking about it. What are you thinking about? Do you regret it? Let me think. If I kissed you right now, would you punch me? Chen Ji fell silent. Can you do it? Chen Ji said nothing. I slowly moved closer, inch by inch, until our breaths mingled. I'm injured right now, so you can't hit me. Chen Ji still didn't say a word. I brushed my lips very lightly against his. As light as a feather. She clearly saw his eyelashes flutter and noticed how his breathing momentarily became irregular. Do you like it? His voice had grown noticeably hoarse. That's disgusting. Oh. Then open your mouth. Chen Ji's gaze was firmly fixed on me in the dim light. What are you doing? Here. Have something even more disgusting. After many years. A kiss that I initiated. Chen Ji in his 20s and Yu Zhan in his 20s. A young body really is full of energy. It didn't take long for it to get unbearably hot under the covers. At my urging, Chen Ji took off his clothes without saying a word. He'd clearly been quite into it during our deep kiss. But for some reason, he suddenly became withdrawn. I guess she's just shy. I didn't have time to think about it. I was so nervous right then. Since Chen Ji had his epiphany after having sex back then, tonight had to be a perfect first time for him. In my past life and this one combined, I've never worked this hard. But the wilder I got, the calmer he became. My romantic affairs have almost become a one-woman show. At that crucial moment, he suddenly pushed me aside and stood up. It looks like you're not cold anymore. So I'm going home. I was completely taken aback. I was about to keep pushing the issue, but then I suddenly heard my parents' voices coming from downstairs. so I had to cut it short. Early the next morning, I took the fruit gift my parents had prepared to Chen Ji's house to thank him, only to be told that he had already returned to school. What on earth went wrong? Surely you can't be that shy, can you? I rushed back to school and went to his dorm to confront him. Chen Ji had a hint of blue under his eyes. It was obvious he hadn't slept at all. What do you mean? You slept with someone and then ran off. He glanced at me, his gaze wandering. I didn't finish it again. Is this a return after the fact? Was my order returned? It's an absolute disgrace. I grabbed him by the collar and pinned him to the bed. Chen Ji, I didn't do well last night. Let's try again. He turned his head away to avoid my kiss. Gritting my teeth, I forced his head back into place. If you've got the guts, go ahead and hit me. It took quite a bit of effort to pry his lips apart this time. It wasn't until he tasted blood that he eased up and let me in to wreak havoc. I was so engrossed that I didn't hear the noise outside the dorm room door. Just as Chen Ji shoved me aside, the door swung open. His roommate came in, exclaiming ouch, ouch. Without noticing the two of us, I silently stepped back. What's wrong? He grimaced. That stretch of road by the wash house was icy. Damn it. I wasn't paying attention and slipped. I remembered the medicated ointment from the school nurse. I still have half of the medicine I used last time. I'll bring it over to you. When I got back to the dorm, I splashed some water on my face, grabbed the medicine, and went back. Was already lying face down on the bed. Thanks. I had the wrong idea about you before. You're actually a really nice person. Go easy on me, okay? Does this mean I'm supposed to wipe him down? Oh well, I guess I'll just wipe it off. I crouched down beside his bed and was just about to unscrew the cap when someone suddenly grabbed my elbow. The medicine bottle was snatched away and tossed in front of my roommate. And Chen Ji, his face set in a cold expression, dragged me out. What are you doing? Your roommate is still waiting. Chen Ji didn't let go of me until he dragged me to the corner of the staircase. I wiggled my arm a bit, feeling a little annoyed. Young people are so hot-tempered. They get sulky over the slightest thing. Mature men always speak their minds. There's no beating around the bush. Who are you comparing me to? I froze for a moment and stiffly lifted my head. His eyes were like the depths of the ocean, churning with emotions I couldn't fathom. I didn't. Don't deny it, I can tell. My heart gave a sudden jolt. It seems like I really did say something like, how can you be so stupid? Can't you move? Last night. What number am I? Chen Ji took a step closer, and his icy aura instantly engulfed me. How many others have you played with? You're so skilled. Did you practice on other people? My mind went completely blank. I was so focused on getting Chen Ji to accept me as quickly as possible that I completely failed to notice that his desire had long since ebbed, giving way to unease and hesitation. Is the Yuzhan standing before me still the same Yuzhan? His behavior was so flippant. It was as if he were a different person. Someone who had been around the block a few times. Is Theliking talks about genuine? Or is it just a ticket to a physical relationship? What happens after that? Will I end up being abandoned? Just like those people before me? I don't know how to explain it. All he could do was stammer and shake his head. His words fell flat. I wasn't messing around. And there was no one else. Chen Ji kept staring at me in silence. A few people were clambering up the stairs from downstairs, making a lot of noise as they carried kettles of hot water. He gently pulled me close and ushered me inside. I stared blankly at the line of his jaw and heard myself ask, Chen Ji, you do like me, don't you? He tilted his head slightly. Does it matter? It's very important. That's very important. Chen Ji, I had a dream that night. I dreamed that I was lying on the snow, with snowflakes drifting gently down from the gray clouds. All around, there were mandarin oranges scattered on the ground. I sat up with a start. But that person wasn't there. A vast, white snowy landscape, just me. In the 2 years right after Chen Ji left, I couldn't help but let my mind wander, obsessively imagining over and over again what the last thing he saw was and what was going through his mind. Later, I stopped thinking about it. I'm just waiting for the doctor to give me a death sentence as soon as possible so I can go ask him myself. In my dream, I lay back down in the snow and stared blankly at the sky. Then, in an instant, I heard his voice. I haven't had enough. You, Jean. We fell in love too late and missed out on so much. I want to start over with you. I bought breakfast and knocked on Chen Ji's door. His roommate opened the door for me, his eyes lighting up. Thanks. I'll have the scallion rolls. Oh, sorry. I didn't buy yours. This one's for Chen Ji. Chen Ji sat on the edge of the bed, lifted his eyelids to glance at me, and continued getting dressed. His roommate let out 2 cries and threw on his jacket. You people are heartless. You made the injured treat their own wounds and even buy their own breakfast. I urged him. If you don't come downstairs soon, the scallion rolls will be all sold out. He ran off, cursing under his breath. I dragged the table over to his bed and sat down across from him. Chen Ji. Let's get reacquainted. My name is Jean. I'm your neighbor, childhood friend, classmate, and rival. And now, I'm your suitor. This is my first time dating someone at school. Please forgive me for backfiring. I'll do better next time. He stared at me. Is this your first time? I nodded. You're the first and the last. Chen Ji lowered his eyes and reached out to unwrap his breakfast. I pretended not to notice the corner of his mouth twitching slightly and continued. I saw a chessboard in your room the other day. Do you like playing chess? Want to go to the chess club together this weekend? He slowly took a sip of soy milk. I don't like playing chess right now. So what do you like? He thought for a moment. Let's go see a movie. That's perfect. I pulled 2 flyers out of my pocket. How about this one? It's an action movie. The steam from the soy milk swirled between us, and Chen Ji stared at me without blinking. Are you serious? Of course. Why? Because I love you. I want to start over before I turn 36. Chen Ji furrowed his brow slightly. Why 36? I gave him a mysterious wink. When I turn 36, I'll tell you a story. That's the end of the story. Thank you all for reading. Please subscribe, like, share, and leave a comment. Thank you.